Welcome everybody to the Chess Lab. Welcome to this new series, even though, it's gonna be relatively quick in a way, but also perhaps no. This is How to Reassess Your Chess, episode 1. In this series, I'm going to go through how to reassess your chess, which is perhaps the bestseller on Chessable, at least when it comes to the strategy courses. This is a book originally written by Jeremy Silman, legendary international master and instructor. Is version 4, and Jeremy Silman himself went through all these versions throughout decades. And basically, the core principle of this book is the infamous theory of imbalances by Jeremy Silman again. But you'll discover what it means by reading the book. I'm gonna read the book for myself, but I'm gonna do it while I record myself, so you guys can join along. This video series is part of a broader series, which is Become a Chess Master, right? We went through Dzindzihashvili's series on the Russian School of Chess, and we learned some very important concepts. Now, before I start, let me do something very quick, which I cannot do. Okay, so I'm gonna read it to you. I cannot show it to you, but I can read it to you. So I'm gonna read you what we have to do. So, in order to become a master, this is my plan. First of all, study How to Reassess Your Chess by Silman. Then study the Endgame book by Silman. Endgame book is not the title, but I don't remember the title, so we're going to call it Endgame book. Then study Think Like a Super GM by Adams, which I'm already doing. I'm not going to do it publicly on the channel, but I'm doing it by myself. Study That Book by John Watson. That book is not the title of the book, but I can't remember the title of the book. I know the book because I have messages saved, so I can find the title, but okay. Then I'm going to improve calculation. I'm going to use the pen and paper method plus the Encyclopedia of Chess Combinations, which is a brutal method. After half an hour of that, even less, your brain is fried. But that's how you genuinely become like a super strong player. And when I say super strong player, I mean truly strong player. Then number 6, craft a systemized method for evaluating a position and when to evaluate it during the game, that is, and then I'm going to practice it. 6.1, craft a way to implement evaluation with calculation and then practice it. Point number 7, refresh memory with repertoire every once in a while. So that's the plan. And it all starts with How to Reassess Your Chess by Silman, because that's the key. So what we're going to do in these videos is going to go through it. Okay, so let me re-show you this. Okay. And let's start. So how to reassess your chess, part 1, let's go. Let's start with the introduction. And of course, this book was adapted by Chessable and the Chessable team on the Chessable platform, and it is presented by Grandmaster Maurice Ashley. So if you're interested in having the presentation by Grandmaster Maurice Ashley, consider buying this course and consider buying it with the videos as well. I personally haven't purchased the videos, because the way I study, I don't really find use in the videos but much personally. And this is not, this is not affiliated or anything, Since I'm going to show the whole material, I think it's fair to recommend you guys to go and buy the course. I think that's a fair thing to say. Okay, so the way I personally use settings on this is video enabled, but you can also disable it doesn't matter. Quits immediately, study key moves. On the opening courses, I keep on all moves, but here I just select key moves. Review by course order, reps 1, depth, full depth, soft tail, retry on alternative good moves, and schedule custom. And quits time limit unlimited. The custom time schedule, I just pick 1 hour, 1 and 1 week. You can do this only if you have Chessable Pro, which I do have. Is the only reason why I have Chessable Pro really is this setting here. But okay, so let's start with the introduction. Let's go. I have to take this off because it's getting hot here. Okay. Alright, so I have some water with me. It's not much, but oh, actually I have more. Just kidding. So I have enough. Let's go. Preface. Okay. So, it's hard to believe, but How to Reassess Your Chess first hit the scene more than 20 years ago. As time went by, my ideas changed, expanded, and matured, and I improved each subsequent edition with new material that reflected this shift in perspective. Can you guys see everything? Yes. This growing process continued, and it became clear to me that a vast overhaul in my chess teaching philosophy necessitated a final edition. Those that enjoyed past editions will discover that I literally wrote this fourth edition from scratch. All new examples, all new prose, highlighted by lots of humor and some very original ways of presenting the material. One thing was true of all the earlier editions. None were computer checked since powerful chess engines weren't ready available. However, now we are in a different age, and since the advent of computers in every household allow players of any rating to find the flaws in my and others' analysis, I made a point of putting every position in this book through a detailed analytical check by both Rybka 3 and Fritz 12. Though I concentrated on concepts over soulless analysis, because I thought too many variations can drown out a book message, there were times when I gave lines that I felt highlighted the point I was trying to make, or presented a detailed analysis that simply was so bizarre or exciting that I didn't have the heart not to include it in the festivities. This fourth edition is the result of a lifetime of chess coaching and tournament competition. I've removed the extraneous elements from previous editions since I wanted to stay on point as much as possible. In fact, I tossed out anything and everything that I felt distracted from the book's real purpose, mastering the imbalances and allowing them to guide you to the correct plans and moves in most positions. So this is guys monumental, and so if you have been following my channel and all the videos on my channel, and I have the feeling that there are some people watching this that never comment, but you follow everything that I do. I have this feeling. Now, if this is you, that's completely fine if you don't comment, but, let's talk. Now it's very important that you do something which is really big brain, which is you need to connect the dots, okay? And this is something that I also need to do. So now I'm speaking to you, but this also applies to myself. I have to do this too, and it's difficult, but let's do it. Which is, we have to unify what Zinzi told us. Zinzi has really told us about the Russian School of Chess with this. And we have to do it, and the only way to do it is to know exactly the whole material in How to Reassess Your Chess, but we have to do it while not knowing the whole material in How to Reassess Your Chess. So we kind of have to do some wizardry here. So let's do it. We have to use pure intuition here. So here's the thing. Zinzi has really teaches us that you have to play opening theory and have plans and ideas in these openings. But then when you are out of your theory and the position changes or whatever, you have to evaluate positions. In order to evaluate positions correctly, which is the only way to find good moves, really good moves, to evaluate positions correctly, he teaches us certain things about double pawns and stuff. But I told you that that's outdated. It's not Zinzi's fault. It's just the reality of it. So that's outdated. We need to use Zinzi's methodology, which is the Russian School of Chess, which is opening theory, then you evaluate and you execute, you evaluate and you execute, and then you play the endgame, right? But the way you evaluate is not the way Zinzi evaluated. The way to evaluate correctly for modern standards, for today's standards, is something that we have to build. And what I assume we'll end up using is this theory of imbalances that Jeremy Silman distilled. And I have the suspicion that Jeremy Silman distilled the theory of imbalances from the Russian School of Chess, which, when I say this, I mean the classical games, the games of the Soviets, because those are the classicals. So yeah, so basically this whole book, everything we are going to read and we are going to learn about evaluating a position and identifying those imbalances is in the context, not concept, is in the context of the moment we are going to evaluate. Okay? So we're going to have our repertoire, then the middle game starts. When we are in a new position, we have to evaluate. When we evaluate, how do we evaluate? We are going to use Zizi-Hasvili simple concepts explained in those videos? Absolutely not. We are going to use what we know about chess imbalances. And how do we learn about chess imbalances? Here in this book. So what we are studying is in a broader context of our improvement. Okay? That's what I mean when I say connect the dots. So in reality, if you understood what I just said, you don't have to do nothing. You just have to go like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Let's keep going. But you have to accept this. Okay? We are doing this in a context. It's not random what we're doing here. Okay? There is a reason. So whatever your repertoire is, you play the moves that you know. When you find yourself in a completely new position you have never seen in your repertoire, you know the ideas that the master in the course or in the book or whatever told you. That's fine. However, in that specific position, you have to stop and evaluate. And again, to evaluate, you're going to be helped by the concepts that we are about to learn in this book. I know I'm repeating the same concept many different times, and perhaps in just slightly different ways, but it's very important. Because if we do this right, listen to me carefully, if we do this right, we'll become tremendously strong. It will pay dividends forever. And it just will. Because we will be able to evaluate as correctly as possible and execute on that evaluation as correctly as possible. We will save tremendous amount of time, energy, mental effort, and we're just going to be much better. Our quality of moves will skyrocket. So I don't care if it takes 100 hours, okay? It won't. It will take perhaps 10 hours at best, or at worst, I should say, okay? And it will pay tremendous dividends. So I'll take my time. I'll explain things 30 times if needed. Okay, this is super important. This will change your chess life. It will change your chess life. Okay. So let's keep reading from the beginning. This 4th edition is the result of a lifetime of chess coaching and tournament competition. I have removed the extraneous elements from previous editions since I wanted to stay on point as much as possible. I know I already read this, but let's keep going. In fact, I tossed out anything and everything that I felt distracted from the book's real purpose, mastering the imbalances and allowing them to guide you to the correct plans and moves in most positions. Again, remember what we are doing, why we're doing it, in which context. On top of that, I also integrated quite a bit of chess psychology into the lessons. You'll find that many of these ideas have never been seen in any chess books before. Okay. More than 2 decades after I wrote the first edition of How to Reassess Your Chess, I still get many kind letters from all over the globe. This new edition will please those that wanted more reassess material, and it will also introduce a whole new generation to a system that makes chess far easier to grasp and thus far easier to enjoy. Very important here. It's always been my passion to help people who feel chess mastery is somehow beyond them to undergo a paradigm shift in their chess consciousness. This sentence here is what we are doing, guys. You think that these masters, or perhaps me, we are saying bullshit. No, let's reread this. It's always been my passion to what? To help people who feel chess mastery is somehow beyond them to undergo a paradigm shift in their chess consciousness. Okay? Bro, anyone can become a chess master. That's insane. All we have to do, guys, is to work. And we're doing it. How to Reassess Your Chess 4th edition was written to elicit that kind of experience. Elicit, I have no idea what it means. I actually know it, but I don't remember it. But you guys know it because you know English, so it doesn't matter. I don't care about it. So, How to Reassess Your Chess 4th edition was written to elicit that kind of experience. If it helps you, the reader, to grasp facets of chess that were previously invisible, then the years I spent writing this book will be very well spent. Jeremy Silman, Los Angeles. What is it, California? I don't know. Okay, so Jeremy Silman, the GOAT. Jeremy Silman, the GOAT. And again, you don't want to be biased. Maybe this book is all bullshit and we have to throw it out of the bin. Maybe. The fuck I know. But probably not. Okay, so let's keep going with the introduction. This is very important, guys. Every sentence here is important. How to reassess your chess is all about turning you, the chess student, lover of the game, into a player with superb positional understanding and skills. And again, I don't care if it takes 3 hours to record this video. I want everything to be crystal clear to you guys and also to myself. What we are doing here is studying evaluation, okay? Positional understanding. Then there are calculations. You know, calculation is a different skill. Openings, your repertoire, is a different skill. Endgames is a different skill. Integrating positional evaluation with calculation is a different skill. Moving from middle game and the way you evaluate / calculate in that phase, moving to that, from that to the end game and the way you evaluate and calculate in that is another ability, and that's another skill. So all this book is just one skill. It's a very important one, but it's just one skill. Okay, again, what we're doing here is in a context. You think this is more complicated, it actually makes it make sense. Because if this was random, not in a context, it wouldn't make any fucking sense. The fact that this is in a context is fantastic, it's beautiful. You should be happy. And of course, there is a lot of work to do, but once it's done, it's gonna make sense. And that's what matters the most. Okay, so I'm gonna reread the first sentence because it's so important. How to reassess your chess is all about turning you, the chess student lover of the game, into a player with superb positional understanding and skills. You may ask, why do I need another instructive chess book? The answer is, look at your rating. Oh, goddamn, Silman. What did I do to you? My rating is actually too high for my skills, but we don't talk about that. The answer is, look at your rating. Brutal, Silman's brutal. Look at your playing strength. Do you feel like you have superb positional skills? Hell no. If not, wouldn't you like to have them? Of course. And these questions are to you guys. Like, let's be honest, are you really superb positional player? Come on. As a chess teacher and, more importantly, as a student of the game that personally ran into many hard-to-scale learning plateaus, I fully understand the frustration chess fans experience when they find themselves frozen at a particular skill level. It's my belief that every player needs a firm chess foundation to reach his potential, and the lack of such a foundation more or less forestalls any real hope of attaining the chess heights most players dream of. This is monumental! This is what we have been talking about. Why go back to the basics? Why go back to the Russian chess school? Oh, you gotta play principal chess. Control the center, develop your pieces as actively as possible, look for outposts, remaneuver your pieces, create a plan. These are basics, but why? Because he says it here. It's my belief. This is so important. It's my belief that every player needs a firm chess foundation to reach his potential. And this is crucial. This is key. And the lack of such a foundation more or less forestalls, meaning it stops, any real hope of attaining the chess heights, mastery, most players dream of. There's a reason why I'm doing all I'm doing now. I told you when I did the video, are you ready to become a chess master? Watch it if you haven't, rewatch it if you forgot it. I said, some people may think that I'm improving the right way because I'm a 1972 and I'm gonna get to 2000 pretty soon. It's pretty obvious the way I'm working and all that. But the problem is, every person in my situation gets to 2000, 2100 even, but none of them becomes a master. Or very, very few. So those very few are doing something different, right? It's because a lot of players don't have the right foundations. You need to understand, guys, I am rated 1972 FIDE, classical standard chess. I don't remember the last time that while I was playing, I properly evaluated a position. And you may say, how the freak do you have such a high rating then? First of all, good question. I ask myself that question as well. But second of all, and this is not a joke, but second of all, I'm not terrible at calculation. I'm not like terrible. And I don't play against masters on a daily basis. Sometimes I play masters, but not always. Most players I play are slightly below my level or around my rating, but they're not that good, even like tactically speaking. And I'm quite good against lower rated player than me, so I kind of farm, you know? And I don't do it on purpose. I just join local tournaments, and those are the players that are there, and I just make points, right? But when I play a master, I get crushed. I get crushed, of course, because I'm not good at chess. Why? Because I lack the foundations. And that's what we're building here, among other things. This is huge. Okay. How to Reassess Your Chess 4th edition was designed for players in the 1400 to 2100 range. A close study of its contents will imbue the serious student with a rock-solid positional chess foundation, which is what we are looking for. An appreciation of planning plus an understanding of how to make logical plans based on the needs of the position and surprising insights into previously ignored areas of chess psychology. This sentence here is astronomically important. I'm gonna read it again. I don't care if you're bored, if you click off the video, I'm doing this for me. I was about to start to rap Eminem. Okay. A close study of its contents will imbue the serious student with a rock-solid positional chess foundation. Crucial. An appreciation of planning, key, plus an understanding of how to make logical plans based on the needs of the position, not what you feel, the needs of the position. And on top of that, it will also give the student surprising insights into previously ignored areas of chess psychology. It's like the cherry on top. By employing new ways of presenting concepts and games, and by making the book feel both personal and fun to read, I've done everything possible to ensure that studying becomes a joy and that the material presented, often viewed as too complex for the masses, will suddenly make sense and, as a result, be remarkably easy to retain. Retention of information and the ability to then apply them in practice is crucial. That's why we're going to have to eventually make some online practices. And Zinzi said this. Until you try it yourself, you haven't learned it. Even if you understand it, unless you try it yourself, you haven't learned it. This is very important. However, and here I'm going to take my personal touch, I think that you first have to introduce yourself to many concepts and many informations, and then go and apply them. And it's going to be, of course, a process of failing and correcting, but that's the way I like to do it. Okay, now let's keep reading. A word about the examples. You'll notice that I've used games by grandmasters and also games by amateurs. I've used new games, and I've also used games from the 17th century. I made use of Blitz games from the internet and even used the Blitz players' online names. I have a simple philosophy. If a positional game is instructive, it's important. And what did Zinzi said? What did Zinzi Hasvili said? I'm gonna write it to you. Sorry, I'm gonna read it to you, not write it. Here it is. Look at games where there are mistakes you may make and see how the stronger player takes advantage of. Okay, so it's not about looking at games between Carlsen and Nakamura, where mine and yours mistakes will never happen, but it's about looking at more human games, if that makes sense. And this is what Silman is saying. These two guys never met. But that's how chess true masters think. This is chess mastery. And we are on it. Alright. Very excited. Okay, so I have a simple philosophy again. If a positional game is instructive, it's important. I don't care if Kasparov played it or if it's beginner versus beginner. In fact, lower-rated games and or blitz games often feature the kind of errors real players make. I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna read it to you again. Look at games where there are mistakes you may make. This is Zinzi and that's Silman. They're saying the same thing. In fact, lower-rated games and or blitz games often feature the kind of errors real players make. And this makes the example far more personal for a large range of readers. That's it. To top it all off, I didn't shy away from employing humor, and I felt it added to the lesson being taught or improved the book's overall readability. Who said that it's not possible to study chess, learn advanced concepts, and laugh at the same time? I tell stories in the book that push home a point and also entertain. I used online handles because they are colorful and add to the example's fun quotient. Why shouldn't chess study be fun? I honestly believe that a thorough study of this book will take you on an enlightening journey that ultimately will shatter your old chess misconceptions and drag you laughing into a golden age of chess understanding and chess enjoyment. Let's go! Okay. If you're watching this channel for the first time, you probably think I'm a crazy chess maniac, and you would be correct. Acknowledgments. We are reading everything. I would like to thank all my students who, over the years, have given me permission to use their games as instructive examples. In particular, I must give Pam Ruggero, aka Girl Brain, a full salute for sending me dozens of her games, some of which showed a high level of chess understanding and others which illustrated weaknesses that most amateur players also share, thereby making these examples invaluable. A debt of gratitude is also owed to both New in Chess, which allowed me to use various quotes from their wonderful magazine, and www.chess.com, that let me reprint some of the articles I wrote for them. I must give some love to my posse, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry, Dr. Manuel Monasterio, and the inimitable Vance Andal, Grandmasters Yasser Seirawan and Joel Benjamin, and International Master John Watson, the guy that redacted the book that I want to read as well, John Donaldson, Dr. Anthony Saidi, and Jack Peters. All of them helped with alternative piece names, analysis, and or the sharing of general ideas that ultimately enriched the book. So as you can see, all these masters, all these grandmasters, they all think alike. Finally, I want to give a hearty thank you to Edward Winter, who offered important feedback on all things Capablanca, and International Master Elliot Winslow, who was happily retired from all chess-related things, only to be dragged screaming back into the fold when I nagged him, again and again, to put his life on hold and proof this book. Realizing that he had to shut me up or go insane, he ultimately complied. Okay, so John Watson bullying his peers. Sorry, not John Watson, but Silman bullying his peers. Classic Silman, we love him. Let's go. He's a bully of the people. Okay, so this chapter in the introduction, this line in the introduction is called Target Consciousness. Ruben Escutin-Catig versus Michael Mills. So this is target consciousness. What does that mean? Let's see. Okay, so let's go here. Can you guys see everything? Yes. So let me show you an amazing example from the book. Black is a whole piece down. So, okay, let's look at this position. Let's try not to read this. Let's only look at the board. Right now, I'm only looking at the board. Do the same, please. Let's try to evaluate. So let's count the pawns. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5. Pieces, 1, 2. Okay, so white is up a full piece. The 2 rooks and the queen. So white's up a full piece. Let's talk about king safety. King safety, well, the white king is on f3 and is not really supported by his own pawns. The black king is opened, however, white doesn't have immediate ways to check him, right? So the king safety is perhaps a little bit in black's favor. When it comes to activity of the pieces, well, we are down a piece, so that doesn't help. But the two rooks, it feels like they are superior because they're staring directly at the opponent's king. Our bishop is also very strong because it's covering some square of the king. Their bishop is also good, and their queen is decent. The problem is their queen doesn't have immediate access to our king, neither on the dark squares because e5 is controlled by us, and neither on the light squares because d5 is controlled by us. Whereas, and our queen neither because the pawn on b2 is supported by the bishop on d4, for example, right? So what's the conclusion? The conclusion is that either black has something concrete now, or black loses because it's down a full piece. And white is not like trillions of years away from attacking by themselves. They have to do like perhaps 2-3 moves of consolidation, right? Perhaps bringing a rook into the center or something. So we have to act quick. Of course, I've already read this part because, again, I'm doing this for the second time. I haven't read the full book. I've read like the first 3 chapters, but I already know this position, and also we can easily read this. But what matters is that we exercise a little bit of evaluation, okay? Every time we see a new position, let's try to evaluate it, okay? As a muscle training, okay? Even though it's not correct, it doesn't matter. There's no perfection. Perfection kills progress. Remember this always. So the move is rook e3 check. And by the way, after the evaluation we did, it makes sense, because if the bishop is if you look at it, this bishop is overworked, is defending the critical e3 square, but also is defending the b2 pawn from which the queen can enter and deliver mate perhaps. So rook e3 kind of exploits that. In fact, white played king g2. Sorry, let's read what Silman says first. Let me show you an amazing example from the book. Black is a whole piece down, but the white king has been dragged out into the open. So he's simplifying the evaluation. Let's see how a 1500 player handled this. But he's not a random 1500 player, he's a 1500 Silman student. So he is a student of the game. So rook e3 check. Now, here there are only 2 legal moves. You either capture the rook or you move the king to g2. In the game, king g2 was played. You may ask why. King g2 was played trying to survive. After bishop takes e3, f takes e3 comes with check. And unfortunately, you either move the king away, but then you get hit with queen takes b2 check, devastation. If you take this pawn, there is bishop to f2 check, and you win the queen, plus the king is still in the open and you're gonna get checkmated. Black wins the queen, but even without capturing on e3, the king will suffer a vicious attack. Okay, so after rook to e3 check, that's the first move of the example, king to g2 was played, but now comes f3 check, and the king gets pushed even further. King to f1, and now notice how the king cannot move forward here. And so rook f to e8 threatens checkmate, because here if it was black to play, rook e1 check, rook e1, rook takes e1 again, and that's checkmate, right? Because the pawn and the bishop blocks the king. Black now threatens to mate with rook e1, and now king to g1 was played, allowing the king to go to h2. And of course, he says, if instead of playing king g1 you play bishop takes e3, then there is queen takes b2, and all of a sudden the rook's hanging with check, which would be checkmate, but also queen e2 check and then checkmate is threatened, or even queen g2 checkmate immediately. In fact, he says, with nasty mating threats. And this would be losing. And notice what we evaluated in the beginning. Remember, the queen, the white queen, doesn't have access to our king, at least not in the immediate. You would have to take here first, but that's a crucial tempo you lose. So what we evaluated was useful. Evaluation helps you even in calculation, right? Because if you said in evaluation, in your mind, the opponent queen cannot check me, all these lines that you calculate are much easier because you know they cannot check you. Okay, anyways, so rook f to e8, now king to g1, and now bishop to g3, because the king wanted to escape on h2, no you can't. And still, rook e1 is a threat of mate, what do you do? Mikey, which is Michael Mills, playing with the black pieces, the student of Silman here, the 1500, but very strong 1500, Mikey reminds his opponent his king is not going anywhere. Rook to f1, so if you play rook e1 now you're not getting checkmated, but here there is a beautiful move. Rook to e1 is played anyways, because now there is the threat of rook takes f1, king takes f1, and rook to e1 checkmate. And here bishop c3 was played. Bishop c3, guarding the e1 square. Now if you play rook takes f1, king takes f1, rook to e1, bishop takes e1, and you're safe. But now there is beautiful move, queen takes b2. And this is of course calculation, pure calculation. But here it is. Queen takes b2, white resigned. Wow, did a 1500 play this? And the idea of course is that this bishop is overworked, is defending the e1 square, but there is also this queen. And the queen is threatening queen g2 checkmate, so you cannot just ignore. And if you play bishop takes b2, which is forced, because again, queen g2 was threatened, rook takes f1, king takes f1, rook e1, the bishop left the e1 square, and now you're checkmated. This is the kind of stuff Silman students did after absorbing his teachings. I hope this course can transform your game as well. I'm really getting hot. I guess this material is hot. Editor's note, you'll find the full game here. So in a later chapter, which is I think the chapter about chess consciousness, we're gonna see this game in full. But for now that's more than enough. Hard work pays off. You finish learning the chapter. Let's go. Let's fucking go, guys. Let's go. So this was the introduction. We already learned so much from the introduction. And now we are going to part 1, the concept of imbalances. But before doing that, guys, even study with a friend of mine who's a strong candidate master, I think I concluded something. And I'm going to write this down. I'm going to write this down in red. On a new piece of paper, perhaps. But then I don't want to lose it. Too many pieces of papers are scary. Okay, new piece of paper. I need more of these little books. Okay, so if you see something monumental in the camera, don't worry. Those are my muscles. Don't get scared. I'm going to the gym, you know, of course. Now, something very important. Because how to go from evaluating to calculating? I think I have the answer. Already. Partial answer. If evaluation is that you are in a hurry, parentheses, for example, down material for dynamic compensation, then you must calculate. Actually, let's scratch this. Then you must apply brutal calculation. Parentheses, checks, threats of mate, captures, attacks. Okay, so if you figure that you are down, let's say, material, then you have most forcing moves possible. Okay, let's keep going. Part 1, the concept of imbalances. Let's go. It's already been 40 minutes. Okay, we're going to do some lines and then we're going to get out. Imbalances, learning the ABC. Now, I want to say something. This part 1, this first chapter here, I already went through it and it's so monumentally important. It's so monumentally important. You guys need to pay attention here. It's going to revolutionize your chess. Okay, now let me drink some water here. Let me put this, on the side. All right. The concept of imbalances. Let's go. This is really important, guys. This is huge. Imbalances, learning the ABCs. Okay. Let's go. A sound plan makes us all heroes. The absence of a plan, idiots. This was said by Grandmaster Kotov, quoting a mysterious chess sage. Okay. And it's crazy. Because basically, what Silman is saying is that you need to have a plan. And a plan derivates from evaluation of positions. And he's about to tell us that. I already read this, so I know. And this is also saying by Grandmaster Kotov, right? And what did Zinzi said? No good moves without proper evaluation. They all say the same thing. You probably think I'm a chess maniac again, but you are right. I'm a chess maniac. And I add chess because we are public here. Okay. I have to clean my nose. Nerd moment. Okay, so let's go. At some time or other, every tournament player learns a few opening lines, some tactical ideas, the most basic mating patterns, and a few elementary endgames. I'm basically at that stage and somehow I have my rating, but let's keep reading. As he gets better and more experienced, he significantly adds to this knowledge. Yeah, I guess. However, the one thing that just about everybody has problems with is planning. This is so monumental, guys. What he's about to tell us is so key. From class E, under 1200, to master, I get blank stares when asking what plan they had in mind in a particular position. Usually their choice of a plan, if they have any plan at all, is based on emotional rather than chess-specific considerations. I'm gonna read this 10 times if needed. This is so fucking key. I'm gonna read it again. From class E under 1200 to master, I get blank stares when asking what plan they had in mind in a particular position. Now it comes something that is so important. Usually, their choice of a plan, if they have any plan at all, to master, if they have any plan at all, is based on emotional rather than chess-specific considerations. How many times you are playing chess and your internal monologue is saying something completely unrelated to the position? Like, oh, I hope this works. Oh, there must be something here. That's not chess master's thinking. That's amateur, unprofessional. You want to be a professional master level player? Scratch that. You have to be objective. And you may be asking, how the heck am I objective? That's what we are about to learn. By emotional, he keeps going. By emotional, we are here. By emotional, I mean that the typical player does what he feels like doing, rather than what the board is telling him to do. This somewhat cryptic sentence leads us to the following extremely important concept. This is
if you want to be successful, you have to base your moves and plans on the specific imbalance-oriented criteria that exist in the given position, not on your mood, tastes, and or fears. Are you guys understanding? This is so important. Okay? I'm gonna spare you, I'm not gonna read that 50 times, but you should read it 50 times. Literally every non-masters games are filled with examples of imbalance avoidance. Remember, you have to base your moves, basing play on words, but basing that on the objective imbalances that you identify in the positions. If you don't do that, you are avoiding the imbalances. So there are many imbalance avoidance. Beginners, of course, simply don't know what imbalances are. But these are just beginners. What about the others? Most experienced players have heard the term and perhaps have even tried to make use of them from time to time. However, once the rush of battle takes over, isolated moves and raw aggression, or terror if you find yourself defending, push any and all thoughts of imbalances out the door. This is so important. In this case, chess becomes an empty move-by-move, threat-by-threat, either making them or responding to them affair. And that's how I've been playing so far, guys. That's how you guys play. Let's be honest here. Again, what's your rating? Are you a positional maestro? I'm not. You are neither. Don't lie to yourself. You can lie to me. Don't lie to yourself, though. You know? I've been playing move by move, threat by threat my whole life. And from experience, I can tell you, 1900s, 2000s even, 2100s, they play like that too. They play like that as well. Even 2200s, from my experience, I've played against them. Classical over the board. The only people that play a little bit ahead are strong FIDE masters. Like, you have to reach that level to actually find something better. It's crazy. So let's keep going. What is this mysterious allusion to the chessboard's desires? That is, doing what the chessboard wants you to do? What is this imbalance-oriented criteria that we are going to have to become aware of? And how do we master its use? What exactly is a plan? To answer these questions, which, if I may add, are crucial, the first thing we have to do is understand that an imbalance is any significant difference in the two respective positions. Okay? I had to do a dramatic pause. Okay? So what is an imbalance? How Silman defines an imbalance? An imbalance is any significant difference in the two respective positions. If my pawns are far ahead and your pawns are back, I have a space advantage. That's an imbalance. For example, right? This sounds rather vacuous. How can such a simplistic thing be important? But before we keep going, think about when chess masters, but even the elite players, they can take with a pawn that keeps the symmetrical structure, but they take with the other one to keep the game alive. They say, the commentators, they say, to keep some play. But if you think about it, they are leaving some imbalances on the board. Let's keep going. So I'm gonna start back from here. This sounds rather vacuous. How can such a simplistic thing be important? The answer is that it's far from simplistic, and that this easy to grasp concept allows any player from 1400 on up to understand most positions in a basic but logical fashion. And that's what we are trying to do. And again, remember, we are doing it in the context of improving our play, to master our play. Openings, that's something else. Endgames, that's something else. Calculation, even, that's something else. But proper evaluation, that's what we're doing. In other words, where a position may have looked much too complex to fathom, the imbalances deconstruct it in a way that makes it user-friendly. And of course, we are going to learn the imbalances, but then we'll have to apply it, to read this book again, keep applying them, It's still a lot of hard work. This is not some magic key, but it helps us tremendously. Here is a simple example. If one side has more queenside space, here we go, while the other side is staring at his opponent's weak pawn, those are the imbalances that delineate the moves and plans that both players will follow. In effect, the imbalances act as a roadmap that shows each side what to do. And again, you may say, but what if I don't want to play against that isolated pawn? But you have to do it because that's the imbalance. You are afraid you don't have the skills to do it. Again, that's emotional. You have to do it because that's the imbalance present of the position. You are a professional chess master. Into the making, at least. Okay? It's difficult, as you can see. So the following list of the imbalances will be discussed all throughout this book. So these are the imbalances that Silman is delineating. Superior minor piece. And by the way, you guys probably want to focus on this, maybe not, but this is actually not that important. As of right now. Right now we are trying to understand what the freak is an imbalance in the first place. The imbalances themselves, we're going to study them one by one, don't worry. But now we're trying to just understand, okay? So this is just a random list. I'm going to read it with being careful, but that's it. Then we just move on. You don't have to memorize this. Irrelevant. Not really irrelevant, but not the most important. So I'm just going to read it. Superior minor piece, pawn structure, space, material, control of a key file. So if one player is controlling the D file, let's say, and the other is not, that's an imbalance. Control of a hole or a weak square. Perhaps there is an outpost or something. Lead in development. But not only an outpost, this is in general, control of a hole or a weak square. Then there is lead in development, that's also an imbalance. Initiative, though I'll usually refer to it as pushing your own agenda. So this is important. King safety, obviously, and static versus dynamics. Even if you don't understand some of these, which I also don't worry, because again, everything's going to be explained in the relative chapters. Here we're just getting an overview. So, whole sections are devoted to each imbalance on this list. But first, let's take a quick, at times exaggerated, look at all of them. So he's going to show us like one or two examples for each of these imbalances in this chapter here, but it's very quick. My immediate goal is to give you a feel for what imbalances are. My ultimate goal is to train your mind to embrace imbalance consciousness, a state where the use of imbalances becomes a natural and often unconscious process. In a nutshell, an imbalance is any significant difference in the two respective positions. This is so important. Let's go. Okay, so I'm tired and I want to do this while I am in full mental capacity. So we read the introduction. We read what imbalances are. This is a line that I should probably read like 3,000 times. And then there's going to be the imbalances. But we are going to do it in the next episode, guys. As you can see, the superior minor piece, the bishop versus the knight. Then pawn structure, right? Weak pawns, passed pawns, right? Then space. Then material. Then control of a key file. Control of a hole or a weak square. Then we're going to have leading development. Then we're going to have initiative. Then we're going to have king safety. And then there's going to be static versus dynamics. And then there's going to be planning, right? He's going to talk about what planning is specifically. Then there's going to be an exercise, and then the broader explanation. And then there is going to be another example, right? And then there's going to be a thought experiment. I already went through this, so I know what this is. This is a thought experiment, Mr. Metallic and Mr. Pink versus Mr. Orange. It's basically 3 ways of thinking, and they are not very correct. Well, one of them is more correct than the others, and it's going to show us why. Talk to the board and it will talk to you. This is like some psychology kind of. This is another example, and this is another example, and then there's going to be a summary. And this chapter here, part 1, if you think about it, is a broader introduction. This is the proper specific introduction. This is also an introduction in a way, but it's huge, it's monumental, it's perhaps the most important chapter. And then these ones are gonna go into details. So he's gonna, let's just get an overview of the book. He's gonna talk about knights, he's gonna talk about bishops, and then he's gonna talk about bishops versus knights. Because again, one of the imbalances is one piece stronger than the other, right? And so you're gonna learn to evaluate whether or not a piece is stronger than the other, right? So there are 3 dimensions to it. 1, the knight is stronger. 2, the bishop is stronger. 3, neither is stronger. So that imbalance is not present. So that's interesting. Then there's going to be part 3, rooks, files, ranks, and targets. Again, remember the control of a file. And usually you control files with rooks. That's why the rooks are here. Then there's going to be material, fear of giving up or taking material. This is also, there's psychology in this. And again, you have to follow the imbalances, not your emotions. Part 4, overcoming the trap of I can't and I must. Again, psychology, but it's important. Part 4, so this is also part 4, macho chess, the art of insistence. And this is related to if you have an idea to push to it. But it's going to be elaborated very well in future. Part 4, this is also part 4, various states of chess consciousness. Part 5, target consciousness. Part 6, statics versus dynamics. This is another imbalance. Part 7, space, yet another imbalance. Part 8, passed pawns. This is under the category of pawn structure. And part 9, imbalances in the opening. I don't know what that is, we're going to discover it. And then part 9, mixing imbalances. So that's perhaps a way to learn how to apply it to reality. Very excited for this. Thank you so much for watching. Can't wait to keep going. Enjoy your chess.